You know, a wise man once wrote, "The first time I ever saw St. Louis, I could have bought it for $6 million, and it was the mistake of my life that I did not do it." That wise man was Mark Twain. I'm not Mark Twain, I'm Lawrence Mark Brown. But sadly, I too claim no financial ownership over the Gateway City. In fact, the next best thing in my possession on this past Memorial Day weekend was a couple of round-trip tickets to it. Tara and I left Chicago via Amtrak early on the Saturday. As we darted southwest, I found myself mentally comparing the farms of central Illinois to those of nearby Indiana, and came to the conclusion that few things in life have ever looked so strikingly similar. And the traffic. Where was everybody going? To work? To normal Illinois? To St. Louis like us? And who lives in that house down there? What are they doing at this very moment? And how often do they see their closest neighbour? You know, the one who lives 3 miles away in Towanda. I absolutely love train journeys for that. Observing the world while it passes with haste in the opposite direction. What better time to pause and think? Think about future projects, think about fixing the world's problems, think about how an actual Simpson family probably truly lives in this, the city of Springfield, and that the prank calls must be relentless. And then we arrive.
Thank you, St. Louis. These are very good. We were on the train for 6 hours and I barely ate in that entire time, so I'm now stocking up on everything I need for the rest of the night because there's going to be thunderstorms that we don't want to be out in, right?
From what we could tell, toasted ravioli is all the rage in St. Louis. Not surprising really, is it? Because that is where it originated. And the place we stopped at, Joni's Pizzeria, even had a vegetarian option for leaf-eating barbarians like myself. Additionally, we ordered a big pizza because we're gluttonous pigs with no restraint. Due to the onset of violent thunderstorms, we finished up our food and headed to the hotel for some much-needed sleep. St. Louis, for now, would have to wait until after the first sip of morning coffee.
Towards a shady spot up at the front gate of the house, and when we get to the front gate, we're going to kick things off with an introduction and talk a little bit about Ulysses S. Grant and his life here in St. Louis.
I've never really been one to take the conventional route in life, so we began our pursuit of St. Louis neither in the downtown area nor, indeed, in the present day. Instead, we ventured an hour out of the city to the 19th century home of Ulysses S. Grant.
All right, so this house that we're going to be walking into shortly, a lot of visitors immediately notice that funny looking green color. It attracts a lot of attention. That's called Paris green. However, the house itself is called Whitehaven, so we have a greenhouse called Whitehaven here. Go figure.
Meet Nick Sacco. Nick is one of the nation's venerable national park rangers, and he had the inside scoop on how the 18th U.S. president came to live on these grounds.
Otherwise, please make yourself at home. I'll see you in the back of the house. You're going to go through?
Yeah.
You're welcome. So the story starts with Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses was born and raised in Ohio, so he's not from around here, but Ulysses went to school at the West Point Military Academy, and he trained to become a member of the U.S. Army. When Ulysses graduated from West Point, the Army sent him here to St. Louis to a post about 5 miles south of us called Jefferson Barracks. One of Ulysses' best friends in school, when he'd been a cadet, was a fellow cadet by the name of Frederick Dent. And Fred had grown up at this house. So Fred invited Ulysses to come out and meet the rest of his family. Ulysses is going to meet one of Fred's sisters, a woman by the name of Julia Dent. And guess what happens with Ulysses and Julia? They fall in love with each other here at Whitehaven. When Ulysses moves here, he also moves in with his in-laws for better or worse. Julia's parents still owned Whitehaven in the 1850s, and for the most part, Ulysses got along just fine with his in-laws. However, he did have a colorful relationship with his father-in-law. Ulysses' father-in-law was also named Frederick Dent, and the two men were avid newspaper readers. They liked paying attention to current events and things happening in the news. Within these 850 acres, Frederick Dent owned upwards of 30 slaves. Some of those enslaved African Americans grew crops outside while others cooked and cleaned inside the house. And Frederick Dent took a strong stand in support of slavery and his way of life at the dinner table. And Ulysses' parents are on the other side of the argument. Grant's parents hate slavery, they want to see it abolished, and they believe that everybody should be born with their freedom. Ulysses himself kind of fell in the middle between his parents and in-laws. He did own one slave by the name of William Jones for part of the time he was here. However, Ulysses, when he reads the papers, got a lot of people that are starting to throw out rumors of disunion, civil war, and maybe the end of the United States. And these are alarming outcomes to Ulysses. He's going to be arguing to his father-in-law the importance of keeping the country together and finding solutions to all these political issues.
I'm not so familiar with Grant's sort of personal relationship with slavery, but you said he had one slave.
Yes.
Do we know if he himself ever freed that particular slave?
We do, yeah. Kind of the story with that is we have one document to tell this story, and it's the manumission paper that Ulysses signed freeing William Jones. Okay. So we don't know how long he owned William Jones for. We're not really sure of the relationship between the two or what that dynamic was like. This manumission paper indicates, though, that he obtained William Jones from his father-in-law, whether it was as a gift or whether Grant actually paid money for him, we're not sure. But in downtown St. Louis, across from the Gateway Arch today, there's the old courthouse. And Grant actually went to the old courthouse there in 1859, a few months before leaving Whitehaven, and he signed this manumission paper freeing William Jones.
I don't know about such matters, but I do.
What do you mean, James? You say anything about selling or something?
I'm a right to do, man.
I ain't never seen him sell off a city.
Things ain't like they used to be. The law says we ain't nothing but property. The tax man can come and just take us away to the auction, whether Master Dent like it or not. I seen it happen.
As well as our ridiculously heroic goal of reaching all 50 states, Tara and I also plan to see as many national parks as humanly or inhumanly possible. So, after a most insightful tour of the grounds, we picked up the national park's equivalent of Henry Jones's Grail Diary from the site's gift shop. Money well spent, I'd say. Meanwhile, check out Ranger Nick's website, Exploring the Past, at pastexplore.wordpress.com. If, like us, you don't own a vehicle, one of the best ways to get around St. Louis is on the Metrolink, the city's light rail service. With just the red and blue lines to choose from, it's not, for obvious reasons, as all-encompassing as Chicago's L train service. For a city the size of St. Louis, this is probably a good thing. And on game day, it will even stop you off right outside Busch Stadium, home of the famed baseball team, the St. Louis Cardinals. But alas, no baseball for us. Despite filling our stomachs with historical facts and figures, we needed food again. We were tempted at first to eat here at the St. Louis Bread Company. But then we remembered this was just Panera Bread, an establishment we frequented 4,000 times before. So we opted instead to eat at Peter and More, where I engaged in yet more herbivorous villainy. Filled to the proverbial brim, we knew the time had come to uncover the overarching theme of our journey. that was a pun. We went to the Gateway Arch.
Thank you. Finally catch a drink.
Standing at an impressive 630 feet, the Gateway Arch is officially the world's tallest arch. Not only that, it's the tallest man-made monument in the West, and the inspiration for half of the famed McDonald's logo. That last part was just a shit lie. But the arch was designed in 1947 by Eero Saarinen, who sadly died in 1961, 2 years before construction finally began on the project. 20 years after those first designs, however, the arch opened to the public in June 1967. As the centerpiece of the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial, the arch serves as a shining symbol of the westward expansion of the United States and is, of course, an extremely popular tourist destination. So much so that 4 million people visit the monument each year, a good percentage of whom go to the very top for those spectacular views of the city. But for my money, the very best views of St. Louis put the arch itself front and center, something we strive to do atop some woodlands. the Mississippi. Not just the name of the 20th US state. Not just one of those words 94% of kids balls up at the spelling bee, but the name of one of the world's longest and most famous rivers, stretching 2,300 miles from the state of Minnesota down to the Gulf of Mexico. The Mississippi River and its considerable number of tributaries touch 2 Canadian provinces and 31 pissing states, and one of those is the state of Missouri. And we concluded our trip to St. Louis by checking a big item off our bucket list, taking a boat ride on the Mississippi River.
I was thinking that from St. Louis, this represents the one way I could get to England via water. It'd be a very roundabout way, but if I left here via the Mississippi, came out of the Gulf of Mexico, entered into the Atlantic, and then entered Southampton at sort of, I don't know, 3 weeks from now, that would be quite a unique way of getting home.
As you can see, the Mississippi is one wide-arse body of water and a little on the brown side, but the ride alongside the city skyline was exceedingly pleasant and quite possibly the perfect way to round off our visit. You know, a wise man once wrote, "Travel is fatal to prejudice." That wise man was Mark Twain. I'm not Mark Twain. I'm Lawrence Mark Brown, but one of the chief reasons I'm making the Finding America series is to challenge our preconceived notions of what America is and is not. Case in point, St. Louis is no more a shrine to the hip-hop icon Nelly than Boston is to actor Matt Damon. Sometimes you have to visit a place to discover these things.
Why hello there. This episode of Finding America was funded in its entirety by our patrons at patreon.com/lostinthepond. So if you would like to see me visit your state and make an episode about it, why not pledge yourself? You can do so by clicking this button right here. Yeah, there, we'll put it there. Or by going to patreon.com/lostinthepond. Who knows, your city or state could be next. Thank you.